The massive starship Horizon drifted silently against the backdrop of infinite darkness, its sleek metallic hull reflecting pinpricks of distant starlight. Commander J. Park stood motionless, his dark eyes fixed on the holographic display showing an approaching alien vessel. The communication system hummed softly. Strange frequencies crackled, then stabilized into something resembling language. Ambassador Seung Kim leaned forward, his fingers dancing across translation interfaces. Unidentified vessel. A melodic yet mechanical voice announced, "This is Calrian Diplomatic Mission Alpha 9. We request communication protocols." Jay glanced at Seung, who nodded almost imperceptibly. Humans had been preparing for this moment for decades. First contact with an intelligent alien civilization. The Calrian ship was nothing like human design. Its structure seemed more crystalline than metallic, with fluid curves that suggested organic engineering. Soft blue luminescence pulsed along its exterior, creating an almost hypnotic visual rhythm. "Calrian vessel," Seung responded calmly. "This is United Earth Diplomatic Vessel Horizon. We acknowledge your communication and request peaceful dialogue." Silence followed. Minutes stretched like hours. Then a holographic representation materialized on the bridge. A being with translucent skin, multiple joint structures, and eyes that seemed to change color with each emotional shift appeared. The creature, presumably female based on subtle biological cues, looked simultaneously terrified and curious. "I am Diplomatic Liaison Raina Cole," she announced. Her voice carried a musical quality with undertones of complex harmonic frequencies. "We have traveled significant astronomical distances to understand your species." Jay studied her carefully. Alien body language was complex but not entirely unreadable. Her postural shifts suggested extreme caution mixed with genuine scientific curiosity. "We welcome your mission," Seung replied, maintaining a neutral tone. "Humanity seeks understanding, not conflict." Rena's eyes, now shifting to a deep emerald green, flickered with what seemed like surprise. "Our preliminary data suggested your species was predominantly aggressive. Historical records indicated continuous internal and external conflicts." A slight smile crossed Jay's face. Typical alien misconception about human complexity. "Conflict is part of our history," Jay interjected, "but not our definition. We are explorers, problem solvers, diplomats." The Calrian's body structure seemed to relax. Subtle electromagnetic fields around her form shifted, indicating what might be interpreted as reduced tension. "We have extensive data about your planet," Rena continued. "Earth, a classification we term Death World, environments with extreme survival challenges. Your species emerged from such conditions." Seung nodded. "Survival requires adaptation. Adaptation requires intelligence. Intelligence requires understanding." The bridge crew watched silently. Years of training, psychological conditioning, and diplomatic preparation had led to this singular moment. First contact was never just about technology or communication. It was about mutual comprehension. Rena's holographic representation moved slightly, a gesture that might have been contemplative. "Our initial approach was defensive. We expected potential hostility." "And now?" Jay asked, one eyebrow slightly raised. "Now, we are uncertain," she admitted, her translucent form flickering momentarily. "You do not conform to our predictive models." That was precisely humanity's strength, unpredictability. Not randomness, but a complex adaptive capability that defied standard computational predictions. The Horizon's advanced sensors continued scanning the Calrian vessel, collecting data, analyzing structural compositions, monitoring communication frequencies. Every second provided new insights into this potential first extraterrestrial diplomatic relationship. Rena's final statement hung in the communication space. "We wish to understand." 3 simple words that represented the most profound diplomatic invitation possible. Commander J. Park exchanged a meaningful glance with Ambassador Seung Kim. They both recognized this moment's historical significance. Humanity's first true interstellar diplomatic engagement was unfolding, not through weapons or threats, but through curiosity and openness. The stars outside seemed to pause, watching, waiting, wondering what would emerge from this delicate first encounter between two vastly different intelligent species. First contact had begun. The Calrian delegation walked carefully through the human research facility, their translucent bodies moving with an almost liquid grace. Hyun Park, the cultural attaché, watched them with quiet intensity, understanding that every movement would be analyzed, every gesture interpreted. Initial observations had confused the aliens. Humans seemed paradoxical, capable of extreme violence, yet possessing remarkable emotional depth. The Calrians had expected a straightforward species but found something far more complex. Your conflict resolution techniques are unusual, Rena Cole mentioned, her color-shifting eyes studying Hyun's calm demeanor. On our world, disagreements often lead to immediate separation or confrontation. Hyun picked up a simple chessboard, arranging pieces methodically. Conflict is not about winning, he explained. It's about understanding. He demonstrated a mediation scenario. Two team members approached him with a simulated workplace dispute. Instead of taking sides, Hyun guided them to explore each other's perspectives. The Calrians watched, bewildered. You are not determining who is right, one Calrian observer noted. You are helping them see each other's inner experiences. Exactly, Hyun thought. The facility's simulation rooms became a canvas of human psychological complexity. The Calrians witnessed scenarios that challenged their fundamental understanding of interaction. Humans could transition from potential aggression to deep empathy in moments. A training module showed emergency response teams. When a simulated disaster struck, individuals from different backgrounds, economic, cultural, professional, worked seamlessly. No one asked about origin. Everyone focused on collective survival. On our world, Rena explained to her colleagues, such cooperation would be mathematically improbable. Differences would create friction. Hyun introduced them to concept of emotional intelligence, a skill humans had developed through millennia of diverse social interactions. It wasn't just about understanding emotions, but navigating them strategically. The Calrians observed conflict resolution workshops where participants learned to listen without judgment, recognize personal emotional triggers, communicate vulnerability, find common ground. These were not just techniques, they were sophisticated social technologies. A young Calrian researcher named Krell approached Hyun. Your species survived on a dangerous planet by cooperation, not just individual strength. Hyun smiled. Survival requires more than physical power, it needs understanding. They demonstrated cultural exchange practices. Humans shared stories of overcoming differences, racial tensions, economic disparities, religious conflicts. Each narrative showed not just the struggle, but the transformation. The facility's walls displayed global artwork, paintings, music, literature from every corner of Earth. Each piece told a story of human complexity, struggle, hope, resilience. Rena noticed something remarkable. Unlike Calrian culture, which valued uniformity, humans celebrated diversity. Different perspectives were not threats, but opportunities for growth. A virtual reality simulation showed historical conflict resolution. From civil rights movements to peace negotiations, humans had repeatedly chosen dialogue over destruction, not from weakness but from strategic wisdom. We measure intelligence differently, Hyun explained, not just by technological advancement but by ability to understand and connect. The Calrians began to see humans not as potential threats, but as sophisticated social engineers, a species that had learned to transform conflict into collaboration. Krell Lao asked a profound question. How do you manage such complex interactions without breaking your social structures? Hyun's response was simple yet profound. We understand that our differences make us stronger, not weaker. As the day concluded, the Calrian delegation's perception had dramatically shifted. Humans were not simple warriors or aggressive colonizers. They were adaptive, emotionally intelligent beings who had turned complexity into their greatest strength. Reyna looked at Hyun with newfound respect. "You are not what our data suggested," she said softly. "You are something entirely unexpected." Hyun simply nodded. Another small bridge between civilizations had been constructed, not with technology or weapons, but with understanding. The stars outside the facility seemed to twinkle with quiet approval, witnesses to another step in humanity's extraordinary journey of connection. The galaxy trembled on the edge of total war. 3 major civilizations, the Calrian Confederation, the Zoric Empire, and the Neutron Collective, stood ready to unleash unprecedented destruction. Jiwoo Lee sat quietly in the United Earth diplomatic chamber, her fingers tracing holographic star maps. Around her, senior diplomats and military strategists watched with growing tension. "Conventional approaches will fail," she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. The conflict's origins were complex: resource scarcity, historical misunderstandings, cultural miscommunications that had festered for generations. Each civilization believed total war was the only solution. Commander J. Park approached Jiwoo. "Your proposal seems unconventional." She smiled. "Conventional thinking got us here. We need something different." The holographic display showed massive fleet movements, hundreds of thousands of ships prepared for what would be the most destructive conflict in galactic history. Trillions of lives hung in balance. Jiwoo's strategy was radical. Instead of military intervention, she proposed comprehensive psychological mediation, understanding root causes, revealing hidden connections, breaking communication barriers. The Alien Diplomatic Council was skeptical. Humans? Suggesting peace? The species known for its own complex, violent history wanted to mediate a galactic conflict? "We have analyzed communication patterns," Jiwoo explained. "The conflict isn't about resources. It's about unresolved cultural traumas." Her presentation began. Layer by layer, she dismantled the apparent reasons for conflict. The Zoric Empire's territorial aggression wasn't about expansion. It was a deep-seated fear of cultural extinction. The Neutron Collective's defensive postures masked generations of technological insecurity. The Calrian representative, Reyna Cole, listened carefully. Her translucent form shifted colors with each revelation. "You suggest we are fighting not because we want war," she said, "but because we do not understand each other?" "Exactly," Jiwoo responded. She introduced a revolutionary communication protocol. Not just translation, but comprehensive cultural mapping. Understanding emotional landscapes, identifying shared vulnerabilities. The diplomatic chamber went silent. Military. Strategists looked confused. Politicians seemed uncomfortable. But something fundamental was happening. Humanity was offering a completely different approach to conflict resolution. Jiwoo's team had spent months preparing. They had studied every communication, every historical record, every cultural nuance of these civilizations. They understood something profound. Conflict was rarely about immediate issues. It was about unresolved historical narratives. "We will need complete communication access," Jiwoo told the council. "Full historical records, cultural archives, personal narratives." The Zoric representative, a massive being with crystalline exoskeleton, looked suspicious. "And what prevents you from manipulating this information?" "Transparency," Jiwoo answered. "Every step will be documented, every analysis shared." Her team began constructing complex psychological models. They weren't just translating languages, they were translating emotional experiences. Finding common ground where none seemed to exist, the first breakthrough came unexpectedly. A shared cultural myth discovered between the Neutron Collective and Zoric Empire, a narrative about survival against impossible odds. Different details, but same fundamental story. "They are more similar than different," Jiwoo explained. As her team worked, something remarkable happened. Communication channels that had been closed for generations began to open. Subtle, careful, but open. The galaxy watched. Millions of species held their breath. Would this human strategy work, or would it collapse like countless diplomatic efforts? Before Jiwoo remained calm. She understood that peace wasn't about removing conflict. It was about transforming how conflict was perceived and processed. Commander J. Park watched her work, a slight smile forming. Humanity had always been about adaptation, finding solutions where others saw only problems. The holographic displays began changing. Fleet movements slowed, communication frequencies shifted. Something was happening that no one had predicted. Dialogue was replacing destruction. The galaxy waited, suspended between war and possibility. And at the center of this transformation, a young human diplomat continued her delicate, dangerous work of understanding. The negotiation chamber hummed with tension. Representatives from 3 galactic civilizations sat around a circular table, their body languages screaming mistrust. Jiwoo Lee stood quietly, her presence both calm and electric. Her team had prepared meticulously. Years of research, thousands of psychological profiles, complex data networks that revealed hidden connections between seemingly opposed cultures. "We will begin differently," Jiwoo announced. Instead of traditional diplomatic protocols, she introduced an unconventional approach. Each representative would first share a personal story, not political statements, not strategic positions, just human or alien experiences. The Zoric representative, General Krant, looked confused. His crystalline exoskeleton reflected harsh lighting, making his skepticism visible. "Stories," he growled. "We are here to discuss war, not memories." Jiwoo smiled. "Exactly. War is memory made violent." She guided them through a remarkable process. The Neutron Collective's representative, a being composed of interconnected energy networks, shared a childhood memory of losing a mentor. The Calrian diplomat revealed a personal struggle with cultural expectations. General Krant resisted initially. But something unexpected happened. As others shared vulnerabilities, his own defensive posture began to soften. Jiwoo's strategy wasn't just communication. It was emotional archaeology. Digging beneath political narratives to find fundamental human, or alien, experiences of fear, hope, and survival. Complex holographic displays tracked emotional shifts. Technological systems measured micro-expressions, chemical responses, neural network changes. Every moment was analyzed, understood. "Your conflict," Jiwoo explained, "isn't about resources. It's about unresolved historical traumas." She revealed how each civilization's aggressive behaviors were protective mechanisms. The Zoric Empire's territorial expansions, a deep-seated fear of cultural extinction. The Neutron Collective's defensive technologies, generational trauma from previous genocides. Hours passed. The negotiation transformed. What began as a potential war council became something else entirely, a space of mutual understanding. The Calrian diplomat Rena Cole watched in amazement. Humans were doing something unprecedented. They weren't just mediating. They were redesigning the entire concept of conflict resolution. Jiwoo introduced collaborative problem-solving techniques. Instead of defending positions, representatives began exploring shared challenges, resource distribution, technological exchange, cultural preservation. "We are solving problems," she said, "not winning arguments." Breakthrough moments came unexpectedly. When General Krant described his civilization's challenges, the Neutron representative recognized similar struggles. Subtle connections emerged. Communication protocols expanded, not just translation but comprehensive cultural mapping. Understanding emotional landscapes, identifying shared vulnerabilities. The chamber's atmosphere changed. Defensive postures relaxed. Eye contact increased. Small gestures of mutual respect appeared. Technological systems tracked something remarkable. Stress levels dropped. Collaborative neural patterns increased. Something fundamental was shifting. Jiwoo's team had prepared for this. They understood that true negotiation wasn't about compromise. It was about reimagining possibilities. Our differences are not weaknesses, she told them. They are opportunities for growth. Each representative began seeing beyond their immediate political mandates. They saw each other as complex beings, with histories, with fears, with hopes. The holographic displays showed something unprecedented. Conflict probability graphs were collapsing. Collaborative potential was rising. Hours became days. The negotiations continued, not as a war council, but as a profound exercise in mutual understanding. General Krant, once the most aggressive representative, now asked questions, genuine questions, about culture, about survival, about hope. Reyna Cole watched in amazement. Humans had transformed a potential galactic war into a collaborative dialogue. As the session concluded, something extraordinary had happened. 3 civilizations that had been ready to destroy each other were now discussing shared technological developments. Jiwoo Lee stood quietly. Her strategy wasn't about winning. It was about understanding. The galaxy watched, waiting, hoping. A new possibility had emerged, not through weapons, but through the most powerful technology of all, genuine human connection.